So, do you guys know anything about acromantia? Santos,
No,
do you know anything about acromantia?
comments.
Hi, Mark.
Yeah.
Yes, I know it is a cutting edge probiotic. So if you have it, you have a winning supplement on the table.
Yep. So today, what is one of the most popular pharmaceutical drugs? Ozempic, Wegovy, semaglutide. These drugs that help us lose weight, a lot of weight. And guess what? If you use the miracle pen, the blue miracle pen, you're gonna lose weight. You're gonna lose a lot of weight. Isn't that amazing? But that's the problem because the weight you're gonna lose is lean muscle, not fat, not stored fat. So what Ozempic semaglutide is doing is destroying people's health. It's causing people to age an average of 10 years faster. That's why the term Ozempic face has already become like something that people know about, like Scott Disick. You guys know Scott Ozempic? Take a look at his face. So here on the right, normal Scott, on the left, Ozempic Scott. So yeah, people are losing weight. Now, when I formulated a supplement for this conversation, Akkermansia was the hero ingredient. In fact, I've done it for a handful now of blood sugar supplements. Akkermansia is the hero ingredient. Now, Akkermansia was only discovered in 2005 by two guys in Belgium, I believe, somewhere in the Netherlands. Is Belgium in the Netherlands? God, I'm stupid. No, it's not. Always like, you need to just shut up, Mark. So here's these guys. They discovered this amazing bacteria, but what makes it amazing? Well, the number one problem facing people today is sugar. Legit. Sugar has completely changed our physiology. From 1960 until 2025, the incidence of type 2 diabetes in children went from less than 1% to over 50%. In 1960, when a doctor saw a child with diabetes, that was usually one or maybe in a 40-year career, 2 times they would ever see a child with type 2 diabetes. Today, at least 1 out of 2 children is diabetic, has high A1C, high fasting glucose. Now, of course, that just, we look at it, okay, that's just gaining weight. That's causing insulin resistance. We can deal with that. So what? You're a little obese. Did you know they studied in 1960, they studied obese people because they were so rare? How did this happen to you? And now, with the advent of ultra processed foods, which started in the 1980s, because of Ronald Reagan deregulating key aspects about food, that protected our food supply from becoming toxic. Well, he deregulated all that. And that opened the door for food companies to go public. Food companies were not allowed to go public. Now they were. So now we have a situation where we literally walked into profits over people. So in direct response, when we are in a health conversation and we're talking about big pharma, we're talking about big food, we're talking about big sugar, it's a real thing. In 1978, the McGovern report was released. It was commissioned by then President Richard Nixon. And in that 1978 report, Senator George McGovern said that the standard American diet, this is the 70s, is akin to smoking cigarettes. So the standard American diet, cigarettes, hand in hand. That was a long time ago when most food was still real food. Now most food is food-like, as in the United States, that's what they call it, food-like substances. because they have shelf stabilization chemicals. Shelf stabilization chemicals degrade and they become toxic and they age us and they make us fat. So all of this stuff that we talk about in direct response, that shit's real. But you know what makes the biggest difference in being able to write this shit? Giving people the smoking gun, showing them exactly how and why this is real and why your children are being poisoned as a result. There's a lot of money there. Okay, so acromantia. Let's go over to our GPT machine. So the conversation here, guys, is pretty simple. High blood sugar. So blood sugar spikes, insulin cleans it up, stores it away as fat. Pretty simple. But in that simplicity has malfunctioned our physical health, Homo sapiens sapien physical health. We are no longer what we were 30 years ago. We have literally evolved because of sugar and chemicals, ultra processed foods. Now, what has that done? That's caused visceral fat. What's visceral fat? That's stomach fat. Okay. But it's a specific kind of stomach fat. It's a stomach fat that is this layer above our organs to protect our organs. And it's so powerful and so pervasive. It is now what Santos just said, an organ. Because the hormones it produces manipulates the entire body's hormones and organs. So this one form of fat is literally changing the human species. Now, let's just get simple: overweight, low energy, brain fog, memory loss, type 3 diabetes. Santos, what's type 3 diabetes?
Alzheimer's.
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 Yeah. But what type 3 diabetes technically is insulin resistance in the brain. Now, the brain needs glucose sugar for the majority of its energy. What happens when it can no longer utilize that energy? Our neurons elongate, our memories get lost, our focus is stolen, and we don't know why. It's like, it's like a ghost. It's like a ghost living inside of us. We become a shell of who we were because of this toxicity. Now, acromantia, enter acromantia. Enter what's the core of all of this? What's the core of diabetes? What is the start of it? Where does it begin? Because everything has a core. Most copywriters and offer owners, they're attempting to do the true core stuff that I started 10 plus years ago, but they're not actually getting to the true real core. So what is it? The gut. Okay, what about the gut? The gut wall. Okay, what part of the gut wall? The small intestine. Okay, why the small intestine? Because the small intestine is the only permeable part of the gut. What does that mean? That's the part of the gut that leaches digested food into the bloodstream so that we get nutrified. Now, enter antibiotics. Antibiotics, penicillin. When
There's a chippy with his mouth all full of nuts or whatever.
Underneath there?
He might live in the fort.
Cool.
I know for a while Bud might live under the pool, so I don't think so.
oh, there you go. So when was the first antibiotic created? It was like 1928, right? And it was penicillin. What's penicillin? It's a fungi, right? It's not a fungi. It's a bacteria. A mold. Okay. Well, a fungi. So penicillin is natural. Now it's processed to become this antibiotic. Now, what do antibiotics do in the gut? It's like dropping an atomic bomb on the microbiome, destroying everything and causing dysbiosis. Dysbiosis is when we have more bad guys than good guys. And we only need 15% of the bad guys, 85% good guys. Once that flip-flops, our health is destroyed. But number one, sugar is allowed to spike the blood, because when our permeable small intestine becomes hyperpermeable, sugar is freely allowed to flood the blood. So you eat a bowl of spaghetti, you eat some pho. I love my pho, but all those rice noodles, that's sugar. That's type 2 diabetes. That's type 3 diabetes. Now, in health, in advertising, you can't mention a disease name. So that's why we talk about insulin resistance. Insulin resistance in the brain is going to get people's attention because insulin resistance is the dog whistle language of diabetes. So you get them to raise their hands. Okay, so now we know penicillin. It's always important whenever you're building your case, you're the lawyer getting ready to go make your case to the jury or our prospects, you need to back up everything you fucking say. If you make a claim, you better be able to back it up, and it better be true for 95% of the people who buy. Otherwise, you're not compliant and you're part of the problem. Now, in this compliant conversation, all of this stuff is real. And this is the core of diabetes. What happened right here when antibiotics were introduced in the 1930s began the diabetic conversation that we are in today, before processed foods, before Ronald Reagan. All of this led to that. Now, so now we know that we have hyperpermeability. Sugar's allowed to spike the bloodstream. Let's just go over our document really fast. Sugar is allowed to spike the bloodstream and trigger massive insulin secretion. All right. So that means all of that potential energy gets stored as fat. So now our fat cells are growing. We're growing. We have the same amount of fat cells generally from birth to death. I mean, they vary, but that's generally true. So we're not getting rid of fat cells. We're shrinking the fat cells. So we shrink us. How do we shrink the fat cells? Ketosis. We have to make our body use stored energy instead of asking for new energy. And you don't need to go into major caloric restriction. That's one way, absolutely, but you don't need to in order to trigger ketosis. So let's go back over here to the GPT machine. How does Akkermansia help repair the mucosal lining and gut wall? So essentially what Akkermansia does is help thicken the mucosal lining in the gut barrier. What does that do? That helps prevent sugar from spiking the blood. So now we're actually dealing with a real, true, simple core for all of your health problems, including being overweight, including high A1C, including massive brain fog, including memory loss, including dementia, which we can talk about. Not Alzheimer's, but we can talk about dementia and memory loss. How insulin resistance in the brain, type 3 diabetes, is the reason why, and let's just back this up. Let's just put it to about 1960 when sugar really started being introduced into the standard American diet. Okay. Okay, so we have increased significantly. So see, over 5 to 8% of people over the age of 60 have dementia. Increases significantly with age, 30 to 40% in 85 or older. We need to ask better questions. Why is dementia affecting younger people than in the 60s? Yeah, thanks, Santos. So we have a lot of people dealing with this problem, but this is just one of the problems. But this is a problem that is specific positioning. All right, what is this called? Positioning. Let's go down here. Oops. So we have Ozempic. Why is Ozempic positioning? Why is Ozempic positioning? People are aware of it. So in awareness-based positioning, you need to be aware of what the people you're selling to, the people you're trying to help are aware of. What are they using? When I did GOP Plus, when I formulated that supplement, I interviewed Emily Wright. She was on CNN. She took Ozempic for 2 years and lost a lot of weight. She also threw up 200 times a day on average. She lost her job. She smelled like sulfur 24/7 and couldn't be around her kids. She was a kindergarten teacher, so she quit and lives on social disability, which is only $900 a month because of Ozempic, because she lost all the weight with Ozempic. She lost all of her lean muscle. That's why she's constantly tired. She can't think, and her health is falling apart. When she started taking GLP-1 plus, her cravings went away, and she had the most perfect poops of her life. There's another point of positioning. Perfect poops. Having written in the poop space for years, pooping is a highly emotional topic. If you have constipation or diarrhea all the time, pooping is all you think about. So if you're aware of that, then you can get people's attention by utilizing symbols. Like, how about a CT scan? Look at all this poop inside of this person's intestines. He thought he was clear, but it turned out he had over 7 pounds of poop stuck in his large intestine, as evident in the CT scan. There's a symbol that immediately gets people to, uh, uh, from early adopters to late adopters, imagine what's in their large intestine right now. We're putting them behind the driver wheel, the driver, they're driving this car. We're just asking them to connect, to raise their hands and say, yeah, that's me. They're persuading themselves. We're just giving them the opportunity for the dopamine. Okay. So what other positioning do we have here? Let's say, how about what I talked about in the beginning of this? 1960s, almost zero prevalence of type 2 diabetes, aka insulin resistance. All right. So we have lots of positioning opportunity here, right? But because I've converted so much in the Ozempic conversation, let's just start there. So why is Ozempic
Think so.
dangerous? Why is Ozempic guaranteed to lose weight? Why? We got 45 characters total using Ozempic guaranteed to help Lose weight. Okay, that'll fit. All right, so now our primary copy. Now, when we think about positioning, we think about UX. What is UX? User experience. So right here in our headline, we have different headlines, right? Different headlines go with different primary copy. What do people see before see more on your Facebook ads? How many characters? How many words? Not many. About 125 characters. So every 125 characters is a brand new ad. When you utilize this, so watch. Okay, so here's our value proposition. That's a lot of text. 136. So we're 11 characters out, but that's still very much within the realm of knowing what people are going to see and knowing how it's going to influence them. So now let's go over to the GPT machine. Rewrite this opening for my Acromantia supplement. All right. So you see how I fed it my positioning and then I give it my positioning. And now it's going to write one version because I only asked it to write one. I didn't ask it to write 20, but I can ask it, obviously, write 20 of them. Okay, cool. 20 more. So let's just take this, go over here, copy and paste. I haven't even read it yet. Okay, Ozempic does make you lose weight. But it can make us lose muscle instead of fat. Poorly written, but still hitting a high market awareness. And then also a higher market sophistication. What is market sophistication? And why does it have nothing to do with complication? What is it, Santos?
What do people already know about the problem and the
It's
solutions?
specificity. It's specificity, getting more specific, getting more detailed about solution offer, solution awareness. So a lot of people have probiotic awareness, but not necessarily Akkermansia awareness. So we can hit the probiotic conversation here. Probiotic lovers. That's another point of positioning because those are people who already love taking probiotics. We don't need to convince them probiotics are the end all be all for gut health. We're going to tell them why Akkermansia is the probiotic they should have been taking their entire lives and can now finally get the results they were expecting from other probiotics. Does that make sense? So it's a powerful way to enter the conversation depending on awareness levels. So when you have the awareness of people having high awareness about probiotics, what's the conversation around probiotics? If you go over to back to Amazon, what are people saying? This is what Google calls the zero moment of truth, ZMOT. They're what's not making sense. All right, you got it, Santos. So what are people saying? Incorporate right here. I just told you about high awareness, people high awareness about probiotics. Well, there it is right there in the very first review. Tell me when I'm telling lies. How complicated do copywriters make selling probiotics? Way too complicated, especially if they're trying to maintain 2016, 2017 level direct response trope. In just a minute, I'm going to show you how this weird little bacteria can actually stop blood sugar spiking your blood where it begins. We don't need to lay it on like that. We can actually have real conversations with people now. Okay, so when we're doing our 80%, we're looking at all of this stuff. Okay, it helped me get regular. Pooping. I love pooping. When I don't poop, when I'm constipated, it fucks with my entire life. It fucks with my head because all you can think about is how much poop is inside of me. This is interesting. Why is that interesting? Cause of severe stomach pain, do not buy. How could I turn that into a positive? Anybody know? You ever heard of die-off? What happens when candida and bad bacteria die? You feel like fucking shit. You can't think. You have no energy. You wondering, why am I even alive in this body? But then the next day when you poop it all out, it's like Jimmy Cliff's version of, I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. The poop is gone, I'm sorry. Because that's what's up. If we can tell people that the reason you have stomach pain is because all of these candida and bacteria that are brainwashing you into feeding them all the sugar they need to thrive while destroying your health physically, emotionally, mentally, fuck, even spiritually. Those are those bad guys dying. How many different ways can we address an objection to get people to raise their hands and be like, wow, now I want stomach pain? Because tomorrow I can look forward to it. And by the way, I'm not guessing. When I sold this very supplement, which I'm going to go get right over here, this guy, structured alkaline silver, 50 million in 10 months. Why? Because I made the bad guys, bad bacteria, candida. I was thoroughly able to convince people that these aliens that are using our gut as their hosts, we're hosting these aliens. They're manipulating us in our second brain, the gut, to feed through the vagus nerve to the first brain and saying, feed me sugar, bitch. You are my bitch. Feed me sugar. Hey, bitch, I want that chunky monkey. Hey, bitch, that spaghetti looks really good. Hey, bitch, look at that Vietnamese restaurant. Get in there. Get your pho. What the pho, man? And then I get bloated. I get a little fat that I can't get rid of. I don't quite have the energy to go to the gym. Everything about my work is feeling like, oh my God, I gotta push this boulder up the hill because I have no energy. I'm mentally broken. And that's all happening in my gut. So how much emotion is in this conversation? A fuck ton. Let's just take this, by the way. All right, so right here, now I have two alternative UX, right? So I just take these, I'm gonna put it over here, put it in here, blah, blah, blah. Boom. All right, let's flush this out. So I didn't say from ever spiking our blood again. I said from ever spiking our blood the same way again. Compliant and true for the majority of people who will take this probiotic. Because as long as it is alive and enterically coated, it's usually fermented so that it gets through the stomach and gallbladder bile into the gut where it can actually colonize. It can colonize. Now, the thing about Akkermansia is that it needs a prebiotic. A lot of misspelling, but who fucking cares? That gets the idea. So, inulin. What's inulin? It's a fiber, and it's also a major part of the gut. Major part of the gut. So, what do we do with that? Well, let's go over here again. What's in our supplement? Inulin. So, we have our inulin, which is our prebiotic, 276 milligrams, and 100 milligrams AFU. This should be 300. That's the therapeutic standard dose. So, this is actually low. But because of the chicory inulin, it helps the Akkermansia colonize in the gut. So now, even though you're getting less Akkermansia, more is actually colonizing in the gut. So you're going to get more results, which is obviously incredible. Yeah. So now we're able to talk about how, yep, more bioavailable. Now we're able to talk about how we're refortifying the gut and preventing sugar from ever spiking the gut like we just got. As a result, insulin sensitivity quickly rises, and you're able to use your, and let's keep it general, broad, or not broad, universal, and we're inclusive. And we're able to help the pancreas regulate. So we use the potential energy from sugar before it ever gets the chance to be stored as fat. And then we give them some basic, what, benefits? So let's just give them a little fire. And the reason why it promotes the best sleep of our lives is a healthier gut produces more serotonin, which then synthesizes into melatonin. Melatonin is the sleep switch that helps us fall asleep. Get rid of making up a fake name. All right. So now we have an ad. How difficult was that for me? Not very difficult, right? This is all based on 80%. I'm one of the best gut-based supplement copywriters in the world because I can break down any part of the gut and tell you why it's causing whatever symptoms you have. And I can do it quickly and I can do it simply. And that's all based on 80%. So when we think about the blood sugar conversation, how does sugar spike the blood in the first place? And what would help prevent that for most people? So when we add Akkermansia, which is truly a keystone bacteria, back into the mucosal lining and thicken it, we are preventing sugar from spiking the blood the more people take it. And that will be true for over 90% of the people who do take it. Will people experience what this person wrote down here? Pain in their stomach? Yeah. I experience sometimes pain so bad and I feel so nauseous and I feel so just like fatigued, not just like exhausted, but like this deep numbing fatigue that I can't think, I can't do anything. That's bad bacteria and candida dying allowing you to regain control over your cravings, which is another huge part of the conversation. Most people don't have any control over their sugar cravings. But what if you simply didn't crave sugar anymore because your cells are finally getting the nutrition they need, and we're preventing sugar from spiking your blood and manipulating your entire hormonal endocrine system? So I can make that case. I can tell people why they're going to be able to consistently lose weight and keep it off. How we're taking power away from bad bacteria and candida, which needs to be either talked about in another ad or on the LP. Now, we also need to think about the UX, right? So all of our before see more, that's a new ad because they didn't see this shit. So how many different openings can you test in your primary copy? Let's test that against video or with video. How is Acromancia hit a peak of controversy? How is this good bacteria going to replace Ozempic for high blood sugar sufferers? Why would that be effective? Because it hits a peak of awareness, a peak of controversy about the side effects of Ozempic without even talking about them. We're letting people self-identify because the true side effects of it are becoming more and more and more prevalent, and that's only going to continue becoming more and more and more the case. Does that make sense? Okay. So then right here, let's take that. Let's go back over here. Now, rewrite this video opening line to reflect, complement, and replace the copy in the primary area of the ad. You see how it's all about feeding the positioning. All right, so then let's go back over here, because what if we reverse that? So that's kind of neutered, kind of pussy, because it's not saying anything really hard, but it's introducing the idea, which for a high market awareness who is experiencing, because my awareness of your side effects of Ozempic, I know that you're likely to raise your hand. Based on my 80%, based on my awareness about your awareness, I think that will raise your hand. So when I test it, I know what I'm looking for and why. And I know why it works and why it doesn't. And then I'm able to try to say the same thing in a million different ways, right? How many different ways can I say this? So let's go back over here. Same with this opening video commercial line. So now we have 10 more. So now we have 10 more. I can quickly edit these, clean them up. Different opening lines of our video that in different combinations with our Facebook primary copy and headlines, those are all very different ads utilizing the same asset. So now you're able, because of a positioning awareness, you're able to, through your 80%, what's going to get the majority of people to raise their hands? Okay, so based on my research and based on results with other clients and partners, I know this works. It's simply a matter of training the pixel, if it's a new pixel, and getting enough spend behind each UX and each UX ad set, testing all of the different UX. How many are you going to test? 2, 3, 5, 7? Well, that depends. How controversial is the market? How controversial is the ingredient? How controversial is the conversation? The more alternatives you have in a single ad set that could be disapproved, that could be rejected, that's going to be a major knock to your account. So you don't run a lot of variations in an ad set until you know how Facebook feels about the conversation you're trying to have. Does that make sense? So then we go over here and we go to our top of real estate. Oh, and by the way, GLP, that just reminds me, GLP is from a positioning standpoint, a huge symbol. Back in 2019, when I started using GLP-1 in blood sugar advertising, nobody knew what it was. Now, everybody knows what it is because it's even going to be available at Equinox gyms. They're going to have GLP stations. Need your semi-good? Get it here. So here we are, we're at the gym to gain lean muscle, and yet we're stopping at the semi-good station to lose lean muscle. How much emotion is there for young men trying to work out, trying to get their best body, trying to be a chick magnet for the best pussy? Which, by the way, is how men think. If a man didn't care about getting laid, he wouldn't care about having six-pack abs. Facts. The only reason why a man wants to make money and have nice stuff is to attract hot women. Period. Heterosexual men that have testosterone. If they don't have enough testosterone, well, they're not in the conversation. But this is an embarrassment of riches in terms of ways I can get people to raise their hands. High awareness positioning. High market awareness, high offer awareness, which is also getting into deeper sophistication or more specificity. Detailed awareness. Things the people you're trying to help know a lot about, and you ain't telling them water is wet. Here's where most offer owners and copywriters fail. What's working? And they end up telling their prospect water is wet. So what are the big spenders in your space making your prospects aware of? And how are you going to leverage that awareness? That's part of your 80%. What did I call it? Gut loss miracle. Right. So now we have our bullets and CTA. That's your top of real estate. And now you want to test that style top of real estate in 10 different ways and create different congruent user experiences between your user experience on the Facebook side or the YouTube side or the native side. If you're running advertorials to get them to the lander, great. You can pre-qualify them. You can cut this ad and make it just clickbait and send them to a pre-qualifying advertorial to test against pre-qualifying them directly in the ad. So not only now do you have lots of testability in your positioning, you have lots of ways of executing that and different user experiences to see if giving them a little bit on the Facebook side helps more or a lot on the Facebook side helps more. What needs to be taken care of on an advertorial, sales tutorial, quiz, assessment. Assessment is on a scale of 1 to 10. How good do you feel about your weight? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much sustainable energy do you have every day? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your sugar cravings every day? And let people convince dopamine confirm bias themselves onto the lander via this positioning. Because remember, when you have high awareness positioning, you get to cut your UX in half while everybody else is spending an hour in a VSL trying to convince people, persuade people that they're the real solution. All you're doing is meeting people at their awareness, giving them symbols to self-identify with, mirror neuron. That is the core of empathy, so that they see themselves in your copy and your positioning and feel confident that you've helped suspend my disbelief mechanism, how it works for me, why everything else didn't work, new cause. Okay, so those other probiotic supplements, you might as well have just literally flushed your money down the toilet. Here's why. There's another point of positioning based on high awareness that I can easily then create acromantia at a high value proposition in comparison to every other good bacteria probiotic on the market today and be 100% factual for 95% of the people who are actually going to take this supplement. So I'm hitting all the peaks of controversy and emotion, the story people are telling about the problem I can help them solve, and being compliant so that I can actually scale. And then now I know that what I need to test more of on the Facebook side so that I have multiple ads, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ads, all going to the same lander, creating exponential scale. I'm able to put more spend into these, testing different accounts, testing different positioning in each different account, testing different ways of producing your videos, testing different ways of whatever. Those are all different voiceovers, same assets, same copy, different UX. And all of these variables help us get to the constant faster. What's the constant? Controls. What's a control? What we can keep putting more money into and getting more money back until we reach our exit point. Now, let's just take this. I'm just going to copy and paste it all. Let's go over into our lead. What did I call it? Gut loss miracle. And I get a lot more specific there, but so now I'm feeding it and I'm getting my commercial made. Now, when I do this, what's the difference between what I'm doing here and what most copywriters do? They're trying to get the GPT machine to give it positioning, to hit that high watermark of emotion, to get the majority of people who have this problem or telling a story about this problem to self-identify. Let's go with a confident and engaging female voice for this commercial. It should resonate well with your audience. All right, cool. Now, as this is generating, let me tell you what you're going to do with it. It's going to feed you lots of stock. You're most likely going to change the majority or all of the stock. It's going to give you music. You can take the music off of your VO so that you have your VO. You can also take the copy and feed it into 11 Labs or a different VO app to get what to you sounds more human, and trying to not fall too deep into the uncanny valley effect when we are talking AI. The uncanny valley effect is when people can feel there's something off, that this isn't real, but they can't quite isolate it. So as AI starts getting more and more and more, you know, human-like, it's going to cause more and more of that uncanny valley effect. But at the same time, AI is increasingly more native. So people aren't reacting to it as heavily as they used to. And then, and by the way, that also includes, what's it called? Creator Kit. If you want to do avatar stuff, we'll do this one as well. And I'm not going to even feed it my prompt, my copy. I'm just going to actually do this. Yeah, we need to buy that, I know. Just quickly, hold on. I don't want you to see my credit card shit. Hold on. Let's go back over here. Here. Oops.
Tired of relying on Ozempic for weight loss and high blood sugar? What if we told you there's a better way? Ozempic may help shed pounds, but did you know it often targets lean muscle instead of stubborn fat? Worse yet, it can age you prematurely, inside and out.
How cool is that? So just by feeding it my positioning, yeah, powerful. Just by feeding it my positioning, I now have the ability to test with speed and accuracy, knowing that everything I'm putting ad dollars behind has a high likelihood of being able to scale, convert and scale. Now, I'm going to replace this stuff. You have my own B-roll. I'll have my own UGC. I can use the creator kit avatars, which are ridiculously human-like and easily flesh out. I can have this offer up today. I can have ads written today. I can write the landing page in about 30 minutes from beginning to end. I can quickly design it and have it up and testing. If I have my supplement made, ready to ship, I can literally start making money now. If I don't, I can private label it. There are private labeling for Acromantia available. A high grade Acromantia, not just the shitty ship offers bullshit. So I can start making money with this today. This stuff right here, I'm starting my own silver company because I know it works. My dog is 18 years old. I got him when he was 8. He's alive because of this. And not only is he alive, he's healthier now than he was 10 years ago because of this. Not fucking kidding. So if you have the ability to help people, if you have an offer, that is where it genuinely starts. Yeah, you can sell any ClickBank offer with this exact the positioning awareness strategy, but you don't need to lie. You don't need to use fake science. You don't need to have hypey claims that aren't true for the majority of people who buy. You are actually going to convert more by being grounded, middle of the road, and making true claims for the majority of people who buy. And this is how. Guys have any questions? Let's just play this for a second.
But there's a new solution. Meet Acromantia, the #1 keystone probiotic. Discovered in 2005, Acromantia thickens your gut's mucosal lining, blocking sugar from spiking your blood. With gut
You see, though, how that is in perfect alignment with my primary copy. Now, I can regenerate this. I can regenerate new openings for this so that we have lots of UX testing, but it takes minutes. I said 15 minutes for this call. We're already at an hour. But within that hour, I've created an entire campaign that I can start running 2 fucking day. It'll take me about an hour to get the website done, to test it, make sure all the bugs are out, get it live. Start training that pixel. And that's not even getting into how I train pixels, because y'all start with conversions, which you should. But if that's all you're doing, then you're wasting time and money. And I'll tell you more about that later. Any questions? And thank you, everybody who's here, for chilling with me. Yeah. Any questions before we go? Really?
Thanks, Mark. This was really insightful. I really liked it.
Awesome. And as you back process, questions come up, this will be in the group. I'll post it in the group when it renders, and just post your questions there and we'll keep the conversation going, because there's a lot to talk about. This is the
Mark, is it okay to, can I ask a question? Is it okay to like talk about other brands? Like, will that get flagged, or is that?
No. In fact, Rosen, who was on our call, is one of my partners for our sunscreen company, our skincare company. One of our main products is a sunscreen. Wait, sorry, what was the question again?
Like, can you reference, like you reference
Yes. So
Ozempic, right? Yeah.
Other sunscreens like Sunbum, Banana Boat,
yeah.
all of them. They have
Yeah.
avobenzone. And so I showed them on camera, avobenzone, avobenzone, avobenzone. Yes, you can do that. When I started using Ozempic in the blood sugar space, the ads got flagged a lot. Now they don't get flagged at all.
Okay.
Ozempic has actually become compliant to talk about, whereas I used to have to say the blue miracle pen. And it still worked, but now I can be blunt. So yeah, you can absolutely, especially you can talk about other products, especially if it helps your value proposition. So the reason why I show those sunscreens is because they really are toxic for skin. And even the ones that get 5-star results or reviews, I'm going to tell you why they get 5-star reviews and why it's actually stealing from your future appearance to make you look younger today. And that worked. And that's working. So yes, you can absolutely utilize other, but when you come from an advocating perspective, instead of bashing the competition, it's way more compliant and way less likely to get flagged, and more likely to get a lot of positive comments from people, because you'll confirm bias them. Oh my God, I knew it, right? You get those comments, and then that helps your pixel and helps your conversions.
Okay, cool.
Advocate for people, and pretty much everything becomes compliant when we come from that perspective, instead of gaslighting people with fear.
Yeah.
Problem, agitate, solve. That's gaslighting. You're telling people how they feel, and that's going to have diminishing returns. This worked 10 years ago, and it's working better today, and it's going to work better in 5 years as AI truly does replace the majority of copywriters, which it will. But then there's going to be that 5% left that are in more demand than at any other time in advertising history, because they bring the real that AI isn't giving people, and they get burnt out on it. And that is going to be a cyclical trend in marketing, in advertising, and it's going to keep happening at every stage. So there's going to be a subset of marketers, copywriters that become more valuable and less valuable. And then, eventually, copywriters who don't have their own offers are going to suffer, even the best. So you better, if you're a copywriter, get your own fucking offers up this week. Start scaling this week. Yeah?
Cool.
All
Okay.
right. Post more questions in the thing. I'm going to go to a lake and swim.
Thanks
I'll
a
see
lot,
you
Mark.
later.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.